Hey everybody, welcome to kind of a stormy Utah day. We had a little bit of rain this morning, not nearly enough, but at least we got a little break from the crazy heat that's been happening the last several days and is coming up again. Tack för sist, välkommen tillbaka. So I'll get right into it. I watch a lot of YouTube myself, and I try to kind of scroll and find things that interest me. You know, I've no interest in finding people that I find reprehensible and going and commenting on them. That's not what I'm doing. I'm looking for inspiration and entertainment. I'm gonna have a hard time doing this video, but I'm gonna try. I found a guy. His name is Kyson Dana on YouTube, and I will put a link to his YouTube channel because I watched a video that he has that was called The Dark Side of My Mormon Mission. He served in Russia. He's significantly younger than me. I'm guessing he's in his mid to late 30s from the time frame he gave. It looks like he actually might have grown up right around the corner from here from some of his videos, but so there's a good chance my older kids might have known him. I don't know, but I thought that I was done processing my Mormon mission decades ago. You know, I've talked a fair bit about it. I've tried to be really honest and open about it without slamming on the religion itself. There are things that I resent from growing up in that religion, but for the most part, I have really positive, nice thoughts about the Mormon religion. He used a term in his video near the beginning, born again. Something clicked in my brain when I heard him talk about that term. And I'm like, that's what it is. I've never thought about it that way. That when I left, I was born again. And I don't mean in the way that a lot of Christians use it, certain groups of Christians, you know, I'm born again, accept Jesus. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being born again into my life. So many of the things that he said resonated with me. He served in Southwest Russia. It seemed like a very rough part of Russia. He dealt with things I didn't have to deal with in Norway. Now, I did deal with a lot of the things that he talked about, you know, people yelling at you, screaming at you, spitting on you, calling you names, swearing at you. I dealt with all of that. And other than one time, I took it. I just took it. And I had grown up in an era, in a part of the world, southern Alberta, Canada, in a little town where you didn't take it. You didn't put up with it. We were fighters, and we physically fought. If somebody slighted you, called you a name, fight after school. And I'm not glorifying that. I'm not saying that's the way to solve problems. But that's what we did then. And it wasn't dangerous. People didn't have knives and guns. It was usually two dudes, but quite often girls too, fighting. And so being out there, thousands of miles from my family, with people I don't know, you know, they put you with a companion that you don't know, and you're just supposed to instantly live together. I had a couple of companions that I really enjoyed. I'd say 3 out of, 10, 11, I can't remember. There were a couple of them I straight out didn't like. They were not nice people. They acted like they were my boss, not my companion. A couple of them I had to put in their place, verbally, not physically, although I did threaten once. And so much of what Kyson, cool name by the way, dude, said just rang true to me. You have to, at least I had to shut myself off in a lot of ways emotionally. I had to push. He said he wasn't homesick. I definitely was homesick. And part of it was, I was not homesick in the MTC, the Missionary Training Center in Provo, Utah. I actually, for the most part, kind of enjoyed that. But when I got to Norway, the first person I got put with was a guy that was quite a bit older than me, had waited for whatever reason to serve his mission. He was a very socially awkward, rude, not pleasant dude. And I've talked about this before, my first couple of months in Norway were absolutely miserable. I cried myself to sleep night after night. I looked so forward to night when I could escape into my dreams and not be here. Now, I eventually learned to live with it and actually enjoy it in some ways too. And I've said many times, I don't regret going. I learned a lot of skills that I use to this day. But I really thought I had worked through everything. And he just, I don't know, he brought stuff to the surface of me that I didn't know was there. And I almost feel like this relief after watching his video that, I don't know, I'm a pretty happy guy. I have a pretty good life. I have an amazing family. I have a nice home. I really don't have much to complain about. And emotionally, I'm a pretty happy guy. You know, I've talked about the really dark periods that I've gone through in my life. I may talk about that again because I think if it helps one person each time I do that video, it's worth it. You know, I'm not a guy that goes to therapists. I grew up in a place where you talk to each other. And if you had a problem with a friend or somebody, you talk to them. I really was taken with how when he came home, I can't remember his exact words, but it was something to the effect of he didn't feel the same connection with his family as he did before he left, and he was super close to a couple of his sisters. I had some of that. Now, I adjusted to it pretty quickly. My next younger brother, he's 60, just turned 60 this past February. We were kind of friends as well before I went on a mission, but you know, we hung out a little. After I got home, I don't know, some connection formed there. And we actually hung out a lot together with the same group of friends. But I also felt, I have a super close relationship with my parents now. And they were super supportive all through my mission. They wrote me every week. They never missed a week, both my mom and my dad. And that's so important. If you have somebody who's in your family who's serving a mission, you know, I know there's other modes of doing it now, but write them letters. There's nothing like a physical letter when you're down or hurting to lift your spirits. And they definitely did that. I didn't have quite the separation experience that he did, but a lot of people talk about when people come home from Mormon missions, they have a hard time adjusting back into life. I did not have that. I was ready. In fact, I just did a video a few days ago about how I was drafted into the Norwegian military while I was there because I'm a Norwegian citizen. And I ended up coming home from my mission. It ended the day before I was supposed to report. I have a little regret that I didn't do that, but I'd been out there for a year and a half. I went as a 19-year-old, came home as a 20-year-old. I wanted to start my life. I wanted to do what normal, everyday American/Canadian boys do, you know, go out, hang out with your friends, meet the pretty girl, go hiking, go camping, go riding, just cruising. I wanted that so much again in my life. And, you know, Kyson, man, did I forget his name? Kyson, I think it is. Kyson Dana. You know, he talked about how he had to kind of emotionally shut himself down to survive it. I definitely had to do that. I had to get to a point where, you know, for instance, when I'm painting a storage facility, people are like, how do you do that 10, 11, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for sometimes 20 or 30 days in a row? What I do, I put my headphones on. I always have my headphones on. I put some podcast or YouTube channel on that I really enjoy, and I escape into it. I did that in kind of a similar way on my mission. I would tell myself over and over that I was happy, that I was enjoying it. I would daydream a lot. And then, like I said, I looked forward to the nights where I could literally dream, where I could escape and not be sad and scared and unhappy. And like I said, I got to the point after several months where I was okay. You know, I've said several times in the past that if I had had the money, I would have flown home probably a few weeks in because I was so unhappy, so unhappy. But the Mormon church flies you to your mission and they fly you home when you're done. But if you decide to leave early, you got to figure that out on your own. At least that's how it used to be. And there was no way in hell I was going to ask my parents for money to fly me home and be what I considered a quitter and a big disappointment in their eyes. So I sucked it up and I did it. And I did it right. I lived the rules. I worked my ass off. I tracted, which is knocking on doors, more than anybody in my mission. Almost every week, my companion and I were the number one. They kept track of that. Now, of course, you could fudge your numbers and say whatever the hell you wanted. Nobody's there to watch you. But I did it right because I thought if I'm going to be here, what's the point in half-assing this? I'm either going to do what I'm supposed to do or I'm going to go home. So I did it. But, you know, when I got home, it was a little, I've talked about this, so I'm not going to go into detail about the process of leaving the church, but it wasn't an instant thing. It grew over years. My first wife, you know, she's LDS. I tried to be LDS. I fought it even then. And then when I got divorced, I had no intention of getting remarried anytime soon. But next thing I know, I'm getting married to a woman who's LDS. We both thought the other one wanted that. And it took me a while before I just finally said, this isn't for me. This doesn't make me happy. Sundays were awful in our home. Getting the kids ready for church. Our biggest fights happened on Sundays. We left and all of that went away. I mean, we still have arguments now and then, but they're pretty few and far between. And when Kyson said, born again, poof, it was the perfect word for it. Term, it's 2 words. You know what I mean. And it's amazing how sometimes you can be watching something with no intentions at all. Like I came across his video just in the feed and it said the dark side of my Mormon mission. And I was like, that's definitely intriguing to me. I'm curious about this dude. And I watched the video and I actually stopped at a couple minutes in. I was like, I don't know. But then I decided, you know what? Let's finish it. I think it was about 25 minutes long. And once I kept it going, I mean, He's very good at editing. He knows what he's doing with that. I am not. This is my editing. You either like this style or you don't. I don't have a script ever. If I have a script ever, I will tell you I have notes or something. I talk off the cuff. I say what's on my mind. And it just completely renewed my whole thought process on all of this. And it actually felt really good. And it actually made me want to, so when I was on my Mormon mission, I kept a diary, a journal, every single day. And I have them somewhere here in the house. I'm going to go dig those up and find some stuff that's interesting. Not as a slam fest. I know I had some really cool experiences out there that I don't remember. But I wrote them all down, every one of them. And I'm going to find those journals, go through, and I want to find some of the cool stuff. I'm not looking for the negative. But yeah, I really enjoyed that video. It was very emotional, which I didn't expect. I'm glad nobody's at home right now. Because I got to just watch it, not have to worry about what's somebody thinking about my reaction to this video. Whatever came to me, including some tears and some laughter, and it was just a fun video. If you're interested in anything like that at all, I'll see if I can put a link to his video, because I just really enjoyed it. I just thought it was really, really well done and a really cool message, and he seems like a happy dude. And I've known a lot of people like this. I am not exclusive to my friend group where I'm like, I left and they all stayed. Most of my friends that went on missions, including one that I thought would never leave the church, never, wrote me a couple of years ago and said we left, and I was blown away. But in almost every case, and I know there are probably some people watching this that are LDS, and I hope you're happy in your faith. I really do. If you believe in it, that's awesome. Good for you. I've had a few of you write, some in kind of a mean way, well, you'll come back. Some in more of a nice way, hope you find your way back. I never say never, but I don't see that happening. Anyway, we'll leave it there. It really got my brain going, and I thought I'm gonna do a video about this while it's fresh in my head, and I'll see what y'all think about it. Have you seen this guy before? He doesn't have a ton of videos on his channel, but I know this particular video had hundreds of thousands of views, so it obviously connected with people. And like I said, he's amazing at editing. I need to get my kids to help me with that, because a couple of them are really good at it. But I kind of like this old school, just I'm talking to you, you can respond back kind of thing. So we'll leave it there. As always, I very much appreciate it when you subscribe, like, comment, share. It's really fun just kind of slowly watching this thing grow, and I'm humbled by it all. The fact that you're watching me share my thoughts and stories means a lot to me. I do not take it for granted. So have a great day, everybody. My coconut pineapple bubbly. And I will talk to y'all soon. Tack för denna gång, men snackas igen snart. Hope you all have a beautiful day. Peace. Love.